What's up, everybody? My name is Zach, and welcome back to Case Digital. In this video, we're going to be talking about Python variables. So let's hop right in and start coding. Okay, so to get started, we're going to open up idle, which is the Python program that came with our installation of Python. So to do that, I'm just going to go over to Finder, and then go into Applications where Python got installed for us, and then click idle to open it up. And then we'll be able to just jump in and start programming. So what is a variable? A variable is essentially a way to reference a set of data. So for instance, I can do something like A is equal to 1. And now, when I type out A, or it should equal, like it says here, 1. And the reason that we use variables is throughout programming and throughout your code, you'll have a lot of places where you have to keep track of data. And it's a lot easier to reference something such as name when you assign it the value of Jim, then constantly in every spot having to type out Jim. Because what happens if later on in your program you want to change the name to something else? Well, now you have to go through all those instances of the later on results of your code and change out that string name for Jim. Where instead you can just say name is now equal to Bob. And now when we print out name, it's now Bob. And so that's the useful point of variables and why they can be very useful, especially if you have things such as, like, say, a credit card number. Credit card is equal to, and we have it say 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so if you get a piece of long data such as this, then it can be very, you don't want to have to type that in every single time wherever it's referenced in your code. Instead, you just assign credit card to that, and then we can just say credit card, and it'll print it out for us and remember that for us. Now, there's a couple naming conventions in Python that we have to keep track of. And first of all, when you have a variable, you cannot start with a number. So for instance, I can't say 1 credit card equals 5. I'll get a syntax error. But you can have a number inside of your variable name. It just can't be at the very beginning. So I can do credit card 1 is equal to 5. And now, if I do credit card 1, it'll print out 5. And then there's some other things. There are certain symbols like the exclamation point, the @ symbol, the hashtag, and the $sign. These certain symbols can't be used within variable names because you'll get a syntax error. So if you're ever programming and you get something as you see here, such as this syntax error, invalid syntax, check your variable names just to make sure that they're matching. Another thing that I want to point out is in Python is that when you get a very long variable name, a lot of times as you can see what I did, is we separate that by an underscore. So rather than having something that looks like this, we just separate to make it more readable. And that's just to help with the readability, so when you're looking through your code or someone else's code, that you can actually read what's going on and not get confused by the variable names. Which brings us to another point. In programming, we definitely want to make sure that when we're reading through the code that we can understand it. Because if we can't understand it, then it makes it very hard to know when errors are happening and how to fix those. And so to do that, when we assign variable names, we want to make them meaningful variable names. And what I mean by meaningful is, like, for instance, rather than just saying A is equal to this big old long, say this is our credit card number, if I see that in the code, maybe I'll know from the part of the code that, oh, that referenced the credit card number, but it's a lot better to say credit card num is equal to, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which now when we're looking through the code, we can say credit card num, and there it is. It'll give us our credit card number. And so that's another way to help you through your programming to assign data to specific variables and how you should name those variables and some of the pitfalls to avoid. In the next video, we'll be going and talking about the different types of data that revolve within the Python programming language. Until then, keep coding.